how to manipulate women and why they love it. Every human wants to have an identity. It's the natural and basic human right to have an identity, to have a soul. So the reason on the surface level that women would say that they don't want to be manipulated or don't want to be taken advantage of or anything like this is because they're speaking only from a basic understanding that they're assuming that you're going to destroy their identity. You're going to destroy them as a person. But that's not the kind of manipulation I'm talking about. I'm talking about constructive manipulation, not destructive manipulation. Now, this is what society has failed to teach people, that there is a difference. See, society has presented the idea that any kind of control, any kind of aggression, any kind of dominance is destructive. But actually, there is a constructive version of dominance, a constructive version. You know what we call it? We call it leadership. Okay? Because you're guiding someone aggressively. You're guiding them to a place that will actually benefit them. All right? So it's constructive. Even though it's controlling, even though it's dominant, even though it's aggressive, it's manipulative, but the end result is one of constructive nature. So every human being has this right to have their value increased and to have worth infused into them. This is a human right, okay? Doesn't matter what sex you are. So when I say that women want to be manipulated, or I don't mean in the destructive way. So let's move on. A person's emotions, whether it be man or woman, a person's emotions are a complex transmission, just like in a vehicle. You have a car and it has a transmission where it changes from first gear to second gear to third gear, and the lower gears have greater power. But once you get rolling, your speed increases and you have to go to a higher gear, or else you're going to be limited. And actually, if you try to go faster but you're not able to change gears, if you're not able to go into a higher gear, your engine just gets higher and higher, and there's a lot of stress put on your engine. There's a lot of tension, and if you stay in that state for too long, your engine will be destroyed. It's going to overheat. Well, just like a car, people's emotions work on a transmission principle. Now, let me explain that using a scenario. Pretend like you're out in an open field at nighttime. Okay? It's just like a huge open field, no trees, it's just you and the grass for several hundred yards. Pretend like it's nighttime, and all of a sudden a thunderstorm rolls in. Okay? You and your friend, whatever. You and your friend are out there, and a thunderstorm rolls in. And it's flashing, lightning, thundering everywhere. It's starting to rain. Well, you know that because you're the only thing in that open field, lightning could strike you. You actually are at a high risk of getting struck by lightning because you're the tallest, you're the only antenna in that open field. So you're in an environment right now that's very stressful, and it's causing your adrenaline to rush. You don't want to be in this situation. You wouldn't want to be in this situation. If you had the choice to opt out, you would. If you had an easy button to press, you would press it to end the whole scenario. But you can't. You're forced to endure it. So what do? You run. You and your friend, you're running. It's thundering and lightning everywhere. And you run and you finally make it out of the hill. You finally make it, or out of the field, I should say. And you finally make it into your house. You barge in the house, you turn around and you slam the door shut. And it's quiet. It's at that moment when the adrenaline leaves, you experience something called being alive. It's at that moment that you feel more alive than you felt in a long time. The feeling of excitement. What happened inside of you was an emotional transmission, a changing of gears. But just like a car transmission cannot change gears without a clutch, so it's the same with a person. They can't just go from one emotional level and evolve to the next emotional level unless they have a sufficient clutch moment or a clutch experience. The clutch experience is what allows the engine to really change gears. You can try to go faster in your life, but you're not going to be able to change gears unless you have a clutch experience. So when you were out in the field, when you were out in the open field, you didn't want to be there. You would have, if there was an easy button, you would have hit the button, you would have ended it because it was so uncomfortable. But you were forced to go through that situation. And when you did go through it, you left it being happier than what you were before. It's a storm experience. And it's those experiences that make you know that you're alive. They give you fulfillment. Well, the same is true with women. They are always going through, they're experiencing emotional constipation. And they want to go faster in life, but they can't because society has taken away all of her clutches. There is no clutch for the emotional transmission of a woman like that of a man. The man is her clutch. The experiences, the intense experiences that he gives her in moments where she has lost all of control and no one can save her. She would hit a button if she could. If she had an easy button, if she could make an easy phone call, if she could motion someone over to stop her experience, she would, because it's a genuinely scary experience. Or because it's an uncomfortable experience. Just like the storm you would not purposefully put yourself in that situation. Because it's the feeling you're truly losing control. But it's that exact experience of losing control, genuinely losing control. It is that experience that's required to produce a clutch that can change gears in your emotional transmission and allow you to proceed into the next level of life. Now, women are very emotional. And as such, they require, their transmission is trying to change gears. Trying to. And the primary gear changer for women, the one who can do it the best, is a masculine man, and all of his male traits, his aggression, maybe his fits of anger, or his no bullshit mentality, even the depth of his voice, the vibration, and the power behind his voice produces a clutch inside of the woman. Her emotions cover her whole body. It makes her body tense after a while. Just like when an engine is revving up and it's unable to change gears, but it's revving up and it needs to change gears. It wants to change gears, but it cannot do it by itself. It requires a clutch. But until it has that clutch experience, it's going to be revving up and it's going to be tense. The engine is going to be under stress. So, society has not allowed men to be nature's clutch for women. The government has not allowed men to be nature's clutch for women. Their emotional clutch. But that's exactly what they are. Their dominance, their leadership, their funneling of her emotions, her scattered emotions. A man has an ability to funnel all of her thoughts and her emotions into a concentrated area. And this is something that the woman needs and loves. Just like a person loves a storm experience after the fact that it happened. Because without that experience, they could not have had that emotional transmission occur, a changing of gears. So, women love to be manipulated constructively by men. And no, they're not going to agree with it up front. And especially when they're going through the experience, they're going to be looking for an easy button to press to stop the experience, because it's an experience where you've lost all control. You don't want to go through the experience. It's not until after the experience is over that you realize just how great it was. And that experience calms your body in a way that, it releases that tension that was built up, that emotional tension. And women very frequently build up emotional tension, just like a guy will build up tension if he hasn't had sex in a while. He builds up tension in his groin area at first, but then after a while it begins to fill up his whole body. The tension goes over his whole body. There's a tightness, there's a release that he needs to experience here. And until he experiences this release, he's going to be annoyed, he's going to be irritable. okay? He's going to be looking for places to find this release, to find this clutch for this emotional transmission. Well, nothing can really release that except sex. I mean, that's that biological reality there. But with women, their tension, their buildup, it happens over their body just the same, but it's not so much to do with a buildup of any kind of bodily fluids like a man, but it is to do with hormones, just like with men it's to do with hormones. With a woman it's to do with hormones, but her buildup is in the area of human interaction on a psychological level. Whereas the man, it would be human interaction on a sexual level. For her, sexual is, it's in the mind. It's in the emotions. And she has a buildup. And she wants this emotional transmission. But the clutch that nature offers her is the masculine aggression and the domination of a man. Him asserting his will over her. At first, she doesn't like it, any more than a person likes going through a storm. But afterwards, they cannot deny the thrill and the level of life that it brings them to. Because at the psychological level, you see, people don't realize it, but what's happening is an emotional transmission was able to occur, a changing of gears. People don't know these things. They're not, you're not expected to know all this. But this is what's happening. But the government has taken away the man's ability to provide a clutch experience for the woman. So the woman's tense. She's tense. So she goes and looks for, she's frantically looking for meaning in life. She's numb. She's trying to find something, some kind of experience, and she doesn't know where to find it. She doesn't even know she doesn't even understand this consciously, that all this is happening. She's just following her subconscious instincts. She's looking for something that will offer her a clutch so that she can change gears emotionally. Life will make you go faster. As you go through life, you have to go faster. Your engine will pick up faster. But if you cannot change gears emotionally, if you can't do this, you will never be able to take yourself to the next level. You'll never be able to evolve as a person. Your body will always be tense. You'll always be frustrated. You'll be locked in this prison, and you can't figure out how to get out of it. Experiences pull you from emotional plateau to emotional plateau. Experiences are the clutch in the transmission of a person's emotions. And for women, because of the way their mind works, they don't, nothing impacts them more than a man. Because of how her brain is, everything in the world is black and white. But when a man comes in the world, it's color. Her brain is wired to see a man as the primary object of her desire. And I'm not talking about a man on an individual, or any individual man. It's the idea of a man. It's the masculinity that he offers. the depth of his voice, his dominance, his leadership, it releases the woman emotionally of any responsibility that she would have. Women don't like deciding what they want to eat. Well, where do you want to eat? Well, I don't know. She doesn't want, it's too stressful for her. She doesn't want the responsibility of deciding it. And here's when the storm experience happens. Here's an example of a tiny storm experience. This would be a tiny one, but it's like, where do you want to eat? Oh, I don't know. Okay, well, we're gonna go eat here. And then she says, oh, I don't want to eat there. Well, tough luck. This is where we're gonna eat. That is a tiny storm experience, because what you did was you dominated her in that area, but you didn't do it destructively. If you had never given her an option to choose where she wanted to eat, then that would have been destructive. But you did give her an option. You said, where do you want to eat? But she said, I don't know. Okay? So at that point, your domination of her can be constructive, because she just said she doesn't know. So she lost her chance, basically. If she, and a woman knows this deep down inside. But afterwards, if she's saying, oh, well, I don't want to eat there, well, that is an emotional transmission occurrence. Okay? That is I want to stop going through this storm. I don't want to go through this storm. It's a miniature storm in this scenario, but there's greater storms, but that's a tiny one. It's a conflict, okay? You asked her where she wanted to eat. She said she didn't know. So you said, okay, well, we're going to eat here. The storm has come. It's lightning and flashing. She doesn't want to eat there. Bam, lightning, flashing. You say, tough luck. We're going to eat here anyway. Now, she might whine and complain a little bit, but I guarantee you that after she's ordered her food and after she's eaten, y'all are gonna go home and she's gonna feel relaxed. She's gonna feel released from her tension, because her emotional tension was released by the clutch that you offered. You offered the clutch when you dominated her, when you asserted your will over her little emotional objections. Because her emotional objections are not rooted in her soul. Okay, they're shallow objections. Don't take them to heart. Don't feel like you're robbing her of her identity or destroying her as a person just because you're dominating her or asserting your will over her in scenarios like that. Because like I said, you asked her where she wanted to eat. If she had said where she wanted to eat, and then you said, well, screw that, I don't want to eat there. Well, that's a little different. I mean, there's times where that's acceptable too, but it depends on the factors. But that's a little different than if you had asked her where, and she said she didn't know. All right? She's telling the truth. She doesn't know. She doesn't know. But see, as soon as you say, okay, well, we're going to eat here, the natural instinct in a woman is to shit test that. It's called a shit test, where she's basically testing your resolve as a man. This is in the natural instinct of a woman is to rub up against a man when he makes a decision, because she's basically his first tester to prepare him for the tests of the world that would come against him, to see how his resolve is. She's kind of like the first test. So she has a natural instinct. She's not doing this on purpose. She's just a creature of instinct. And so she throws up this, oh, well, I don't want to eat there. But that's not the truest statement all the time. Most of the time it's not. So don't even say, well, I just asked you where you want to eat and you said you don't know. Don't even do that. Don't even go down to that level. Because what that level is the level of me and you are equal peers, me and you are friends, which in her mind means you're just as powerless as her. And if you're just as powerless as her, then you're just as valueless as her. She sees herself as valueless because she doesn't have the power to produce change in her life. That's what she is looking for you to do. So don't go down to her level and argue with her about things. You don't, that's what friends do. That's what partners do. But you're not partners. You're not equals. And she doesn't want to be equal to you. When she says she wants to be equal, what she means is she wants you to take her with you wherever you go in life. She wants you to take her with you in your success. She doesn't want you to forget about her. That's the only kind of partnership that she's really wanting. She doesn't want you to be her partner in the sense that you're just as weak as her. No, you need to be aggressive. You need to be dominant, but in a constructive way. So in a way that doesn't destroy her identity. If she knows where she wants to eat, ask her. Say, where do you want to eat? Well, I want to eat here. All right, let's go. But if she doesn't know where she wants to eat, she's going to say, I don't know where I want to eat. And she's telling the truth. She don't know. But don't let it confuse you when you say, all right, well, we're going to eat here. And if she says, oh, I don't really like that place, don't worry about it. Just eat there anyway. You say, well, we're going to eat there anyway. All right? She'll bitch a little bit sometimes. Sometimes they won't. Sometimes they'll be quiet. They'll be like, damn, this dude's real. But sometimes, if they're a little less classy, they'll kind of bitch about it. They'll be like, well, I want it. They'll get all bitchy and whiny. But I'm telling you, give it a little time. Be nice to her. Smile, be nice to her. But be aggressive in your decision making. And it's not about you. It's about producing the clutch experience that's necessary for her to have an emotional release. When she's fighting you in that conflict, when she's fighting you in that one moment, that is the equivalent of the engine revving up at the last minute so that you can release the gas and change gears. But she cannot produce this experience on her own. All she can do is rev her engine up. But you are the clutch. And when she revs her engine up and you fail to clutch, you fail to press in that clutch by dominating your will over hers, after you asked her what she wanted and she said she didn't know, if you fail to provide that clutch experience, then she's revving up her engine every day and she is not able to change the gears. Think of how stressful that is. Think of how tense a person's body is after so many days of that, of just revving up the engine and shit testing her man, and yet day after day he's failing the shit test because he keeps coming down to her level and talking to her as if they're best friends. You guys aren't best friends, okay? You're her master. You're her God. And she needs you to be that. She needs you to put her in her place. Just like you need a thunderstorm to make you feel alive, you're not going to like it at the moment. But afterwards, you can't deny that shit was awesome.